Good morning. I'm early. Hopefully, says there's 5 of you here, so good morning. Welcome. I am back in the sewing room. I mean, where else would I be? Let's tip you down a little bit. So I finished yesterday. I just had an email to say that I'm on live. It's good to know. I finished yesterday halfway through training out the Vogue 9006. One of you lovely lot recommended this to me as an alternative to the 6563 because it's readily available at the moment. So I wanted to give it a try, and I'm going to try it with some of the teal Cobra Corsage because I think I am going to love it. So yeah, I've got 6 of the 12 pattern pieces traced, so I'm halfway through, so I need to carry on tracing. And then I've got the 6891 and the 9076 to trace out, but they are cut out, but they're both sew-alongs. So I might not do that. Hang on, some fabric making a bid for freedom. In you go. We'll have to see how if doing a live hangout and trying to film a sew along at the same time works. Might be interesting behind the scenes kind of look for you guys. All the stuff times I fluff up and then cut things out. Caroline's here, good morning. Ruth is here, good morning. Dave on a Rave says hey, hello. Leslie says good morning. A positive thread says good morning, all coming from the Yucatan today instead of California. Ooh, is that Mexico? Yucatan Peninsula? Chris says, watching the Australian Open with one eye. Dave on a Rave says, Waltz and all documentary. Yeah. Phoebe says, good morning. Good morning. So, yeah. I think that's the plan for today, is kind of just sort of work through some cutting out projects and things, because as you can see, the sewing table and sewing machine are away, and it's a bit of a pain. It takes me about 10 minutes to switch between the two, but I don't want to do that on camera because there's lots of bending over and swearing and stuff. So yeah. Mim's here. Hello everybody, good morning, welcome. So yeah, I think what I will do is carry on tracing out the 9006, and I'm doing a size 14 for the top and 8 for the waist and 16 for the hips. Although I think I'm going to shorten this as well because it is actually a really kind of long top underneath the waist, and whilst that's nice, it's actually not, I don't think I would ever wear it that long. I mean, I'm tracing it at the moment so that it is as long as the pattern recommends, but I think I'm going to take some of that length out because I'm always going to want to wear this tucked in. I'm not the kind of girl that wears tunic tops over kind of anything really, because I don't really wear fitted enough trousers that would then look good. So yeah, I think I will probably end up shortening this quite considerably because let's see, it comes down nearly 11 inches below the waist, which is quite a lot. Yeah, that's too much. I think that's too long for me. I'd want it to stop about here because, as I say, I'm always going to want to wear it tucked in, and it will make it less like I need to massively grade between the smallest and the largest size, which is what I'm having to do at the moment. And again, like, you know, there's nothing wrong with tops that long. It's just not the kind of outfit that I enjoy wearing. So I probably wouldn't ever wear it, which would just be a waste. but I am going to trace out the pattern pieces accurately to start with so that I can then make decisions about changing them once they're completely like cut out, and I hope that makes sense. The only trouble with these streams is I can never get quite close enough to the chat to read the chat properly. A positive thread says, yes, Cabo, fancy resort. Thank you, husband. And your name's Jeanette. Thank you for reminding me, Jeanette. Very nice. I have been to the Yucatan Peninsula, but we went to Cancun. We stayed in the Moon Palace, but that was 24 years ago. Wow. And it was brand new then. It was very fancy. It was very fancy indeed. Hang on. Yes? Bacon. Okay, thank you. Alexa, off. They're doing a cooked breakfast this morning, and they have made me a little bit of bacon. So you might have to excuse me for a second while I go and retrieve a little bit of bacon. I'm very excited. Very excited indeed. Right. Just need to put in the length and the shorten line. Then I can abandon this and you for a couple of seconds. Sorry, I didn't time that very well, did I? Nancy says, good morning, everyone. Good morning, Nancy. Judy's here, watching, listening while washing the car. Nice. Bit cold for that. Suzanne says, Shan, are you watching The Gilded Age? Those costumes are fantastic. Not yet. Not yet. I tend to watch TV like that once it's all out in one go so I can binge watch it, because I do spend most of my evenings editing. So yeah. Awkward Evie says, good morning, 4:45 a.m. here with a coffee emoji. Wow, that's very early. I got your email. I am working my way through my email inbox. It will take me a little while to get back to you, but thank you very much for your email, Evie. Harriet says, good morning, everyone. Good morning. Right, I'm going to run up and grab my breakfast. I thought it was going to take them longer to get that done. Sorry about that. So I will be back in a couple of minutes. Amuse yourselves. Do not move the mannequin. You can't see the mannequin, so behave. Behave. I'm back. Are you behaving yourselves? So Mum's made me a full English, well, not a full English, but as much as a full English as I can eat, which I wasn't expecting. Right, well, I finished. I need to make a note of what this is. 9006, side, front, A, cut, 2, size 14, bust, 8, waist, 16, hips. Right, so if I put this down over here for now, then I can put the pattern piece away because I've traced everything from this one. And then I can eat my breakfast. When I left, all that was done was the tomatoes were started, which is why I started early, because I didn't think it would be done this quickly. I thought I was going to be eating like sort of 20 past 12. That was probably very silly of me, wasn't it? Suzanne says, now I want bacon. Awkward Evie says, okay, because I mentioned that it will take me a while to get back to emails. And I do get back to emails. I do reply to emails. It just does take me a while because my inbox is usually very, very large. You guys are lovely. And I do appreciate them all. It just does take me a while to get back to some of you, especially with some of the lovely topics that you email me about. I don't want to just like kind of go, yeah, thanks. I want to reply properly, and those kind of ones take a little bit more mental energy, as it were. And not in a bad way, in a good way, but I do have to be in the headspace to do those kinds of things, which I think everyone can understand. So I'm a weirdo. I don't like egg yolk. I only like egg white. So Mum very kindly has made extra eggs so that I can have extra egg white. The yolks don't go to waste. Mum and Dad get to eat them. And it's probably crispy bacon as well. Right, so do we get to the chat? This is just what the 50 of you signed on for, wasn't it? Watching me eat my breakfast. Where do we get to the chat? Janet says, good morning, looking lovely today. What pattern are you tracing today? Vogue 9006. Evie says, my daughter and I usually watch listen while I sew and she draws, but for some reason we decided to stay up late just chatting. Lol. She's only 9, but quite the conversationalist sometimes. That's so cute. Susie wants to come in. Come on in. Come on. In you come. Who's a good girl? Mum's not down here though, sweet pea. Or is it, can you smell the bacon? Is that what you're after? She's not stupid. No bacon for you. It's not good for you. No, it's not. Definitely not good for little dogs. Are you getting yourself stuck? Do you want to come say hi? Quick Susie sighting. Say hi to Alex. Oh, you got to kiss Alex. It's a good girl. Caroline says, bacon. Nikki says, hi peeps, hope everyone is well. Morning, Nikki. Moran says, hi to everybody from Israel. Hello, welcome. Chris says, can you show us the picture of the 9006, please? I can indeed. To try and prop it up. There we go. That's what I'm sewing today. Or cutting, not sewing, cutting out today. There we go. Kate E says, hi everyone from Woking. You are having to be my sewing fix at the moment as we are in the midst of getting our 2 daughters into their own rooms and my sewing room is out of action while swapping. Oh no. Nikki says, what are we doing today? So far tracing that, well, eating breakfast and tracing this. And Evie says, totally understand. Response not necessary. Just wanted to share the story with you and let you know. Hi, Susie. Chris says, thanks. No worries, Chris. Yeah, Susie won't complain to get out until I've finished. I wonder if I could give her my empty plate and get her to take it back up to the house with her. That would be the trick, wouldn't it, with Suze? Got enough bacon. Your bed's over there. You're not here for sleep, are you? You're here for... You want food. Are they starving you? She's constantly trying to convince me that Mum and Dad haven't fed her for weeks. Constantly. Despite the fact that I've just watched her wolf down her food. Because she's a little dog, she gets fed like 4 times a day, I think. So good. So good. Mum hasn't gone to church today because unfortunately one of the church council has tested positive, and so they were all in the church offices the other day. There's a new piece of equipment, a new printer, so they were all having training on it, so they know how to use it properly because Mum's on the church council as well. So she can't go today. So she's managed to listen to the Archers, which is her upside, and make breakfast for everyone, which I am not mad about. Yummy food. Sal says, good day, Sean and Peeps. Hello, welcome. Chris says, thanks. I think that was for the pattern. Jane says, hi to everyone from Bristol. Going to sew a Bertha cardigan today. Very nice. Grace says, hello, Peeps. Greetings from very steamy Brisbane. Oh, wow. Yes, I can imagine. Nikki says, I fancy having a go at that pattern. I'm really excited about this pattern. As you guys know, I love a cowl neck top. And the 6563 is my favourite. It's a lot simpler than this pattern because there's only 2 pieces for the 6563, and this one has lots of pieces, but different options as well. So it's going to be interesting to see, because if I do like, and I like the fact that this one also has long sleeves, long bishopy sleeves, although I have a feeling that I'm going to have to make them a bit bigger. But if it works, it's going to be a good alternative to recommend to you guys. I mean, it's obviously not the same as the 6563, but it's, you know, similar. Are you done, Susie? Do you want to go out? It's cold. Make your mind up. In or out. You don't have to leave, but you're just whining at the door. There's a good girl. Oh. Are you done? Yes. She's like, you're not coming with me? Why are you not coming with me? Bless her. Yummy, yummy, yummy. Joanna, I need to get closer just to make sure I'm calling you the right name. Yes, Joanna. Hello, greetings from very snowy Finland. Hello, welcome. Patton's trying to escape. Come on, behave yourself. There you go. Lola says, just joining from Ontario, Canada. Good morning. Maggie says good morning. Well, Maggie says hi, sorry. Putting words in your mouth, Maggie. Janet says, I love that pattern. Which one are you doing? I'm going to do the pink version with the long sleeves. It keeps wanting to make a bid for freedom. Today. Yeah, I'm doing the pink version with the long sleeves because it's that time of year. I'm making everything with long sleeves. The sleeveless version, the cream one, is actually cut on the straight of grain, which I think is really interesting. The back is cut on the bias, but the front is cut on the straight of grain, but the other two are cut on the bias. So it's going to be an interesting one. Gig Racer says, just finished making my first pair of underwear. Gonna need to get closer, can't read it. Waves and Wild Wonder undies. Wow. Sadly, they are too big for me, and now I'm contemplating how to fix them. Yeah, I mean that's the point of like making like, you know, trials and stuff, isn't it? It's like, do you want to fix them, or are you just going to go back and sort of like adjust the pattern for the next ones? I need to start making underwear at some point this year because I've said that I'm going to. I've said that for the last 5 years, but I need to actually do it this year. But I'm losing weight again, so I don't want to. My current bras are ready to wear, and I'm having to, I'm thinking I'm going to have to buy a new one, smaller, but I'm not at my goal weight yet, so I'm going to lose a little bit more weight. So I'm thinking, like, do I buy an interim bra, or do I try and power through, or do I try and fit myself now? How do I work this? What would you guys do? There is nothing better than bacon. Crispy bacon. So good. Practically unhinged my drawer there. Right. You stay over there. Just going to get a drink of water. That was delicious. I think that's one of the reasons that keto is working so well for me, is because I'm getting to eat everything that I love. The thing that I've really had to give up is crisps, because obviously I can't have potatoes or bread or carbs really, but I can have berries, so I still get my fruit fix. I'm definitely more of the carnivore than the vegetarian kind of spectrum, which made being a vegetarian for 2.5 years very difficult, and I made myself very ill. So now we are very, not that there is an ethical way to, I don't want to raise a whole hornet's nest, but we try and buy as locally and ethically sourced meat as we can. But yeah, I think that's why keto is working for me, is because I can have things on it that I love that were otherwise either tiny portions on the other kind of eating plans that I tried. I tried Weight Watchers and Noom, and I lost a little bit of weight, but I was miserable and I was constantly hungry and constantly thinking about what I could and couldn't eat. And this time around, I am really not hungry at all. So yeah. Oh, sorry, I've just so Gig Racer says, is this pattern a cowl neck? Yes, it is indeed. And then she said the black fabric looks very angry, and I was like, there's a butterfly, but now that you've said it, I can see 2 very angry red eyes there. Yes, maybe we should make it less angry. Oh, she's back again. Suze. Are they not letting you in up there? Come on then, in you come. In you come. There's a good girl. Do you want to come say hi to the peeps properly now that I'm not eating and don't want doggy all over my hands? I beg your pardon. I beg your pardon. You gonna say hi properly? Say hello, Alex. Oh. Okay. I'll put you down. You're a grumpy old baby, aren't you? Come on then. In your bed. Oh, she's like, I do not want to be held. Right, let's see. Oh, got fluff on from the floor now. Where did we go? Maggie says, I'm finishing off the ballad blouse from Love Notions. First time I've done any shirting. Ooh, nice. I don't know that one. I shall have to have a look. Sal says to Kate E, I would love to visit Woking to see the War of the Worlds tripod statue. Sorry, words are hard. Yvonne says, hi, Shannon Peeps. Can you give me a recommendation on where to start when trying the keto diet? I bought myself an app. It was £25, but I really like it. It's called Keto Diet app. And it kind of gives you what you should be aiming for your fat, your protein, your calories. And then you can put in foods and it will tell you great on keto. So bacon. Oh, I mean, here we go. So dark chocolate, 1 square, great on keto, it's green. Fried eggs, 1 large, great on keto, green. Bacon, 2 slices, great on keto. Chorizo, cucumber, one whole small cucumber, not great, it's yellow, but eat in moderation. Pate, eggs, cheese, pancetta, spring onions. Beer, bad, don't have that. Raspberries, I had 20 raspberries, that was okay. Biltong, but not too much. Blueberries, not too much, but you can have them. Ribeye steak, spinach is good, watercress is good, rogget's good, parmesan's good. Almond milk, pistachio, pulled pork. No, can't have pulled pork. I think there was probably sugar in that. So that's what I used, and I really like that app. And you can also track your weight on it as well, which I have done. And I've lost 10 kilos and I have still got another 7 kilos to go. And that's since the 14th of October is when I started. And yeah, so started at the 14th of October at a certain weight and I've lost 10 kilos since then. So it's not quick, but I didn't want it to be quick. I wanted it to be maintainable. So that's the one that I'm using. But again, you need to do your own research and find out what's going to work for you. Mum wanted to try it, but for people who've had bowel cancer, too much protein in your diet can be a bad thing. So she isn't going to try it the way that I am, but she is going to try a lighter carb diet and see how that works for her. Maggie says shearing. I thought you meant shearing when you said shirting, but yes. How did the shearing go, Maggie? Samantha says, good afternoon. Good afternoon. Caroline says, it to Sal, it desperately needs cleaning. Oh, no. Lottie says, how strange. YouTube told me this hadn't started yet and that there were also 5 people waiting. And also, hi. Hi, Lottie. Laura says, good morning from Columbus, Ohio. Good morning. Oh, the Columbus, Ohio is the central hub of the Ernest Cline Ready Player 1 and 2 books, isn't it? That's why I know Columbus, Ohio. Evie says, I'm having the same problem. I was thinking about making a type of underwear that I can take in as I lose weight. Yeah, that's why I've not started at the moment, because I have got, like you guys know, a giant advent calendar's worth of findings and stuff for lingerie making, but I'm waiting for lingerie and trousers until I hit an ideal weight. I mean, I've mentioned this in the vlog this morning. I'm doing a kind of like a daily waffle that's the same time as this. But this dress, it looks okay. It's a good sort of maybe 3.5 inches too big now, which doesn't make that much difference. And as I've mentioned, I'm probably going to always wear this belted because I prefer wearing belts. I think that they finish my outfit nicely. And I am, having just finished these dresses, not going to take this one apart to take the side seams in to slim it down a little bit. But I'd also, because keto isn't a diet for me, it's a lifestyle change. I am going to maintain this lifestyle change. I mean, every now and again I cheat. Well, not cheat, but I had Christmas cake the other day. It's my one and only slice. We only cut into the Christmas cake recently because Mum was saving it for a particular event that they went to. So I've had my one slice of Christmas cake, which is definitely not keto, but oh my goodness, it was amazing. So I'm seeing this as a lifestyle change for me because it's working. So yeah. Gig Racer says, for the bra, do you have any of your old smaller size bras that fit in the cups? If so, you could use a back extender strap to tide you over until you've reached the goal and you can start making buying. Unfortunately not, because all of my old bras I literally wore to death. I literally wore holes in them and they all went, and I don't have any of them. I've only got my new bigger size bras, and I grinned and bared it because I'd worn them so much that the elastic had kind of gone in them, so I could get away with wearing them when I put weight on because they were stretched out. The ones I've got at the moment, I've got them on the smallest hook setting now, and they are still slightly roomier than I would probably like them. So I think I'm going to have to buy an interim bra. Because as I say, I've got another 7 kilos to go, and it took me so October, November, December, January. It's taken me about 3.5 months to get the 10 kilos off, so it's probably going to take about the same to get the next 7 kilos off, and I'm going to need a bra on the interim. Sal says, bacon, eggs, toast, tomato sauce, and OJ is the perfect meal to me. Sounds good. No tomato. Oh, tomato sauce, yes. I can't have the OJ and I can't have the toast. But the rest of it was delicious. Paula says, good morning all. Good morning, Paula. Evie says, oh, now I see the face in the fabric. Yeah. Nikki says, Susie is channeling her inner feline. I want in, no, I want out, no, I want exactly. Evie says, lol, as she's so grumpy. Yeah, or as she's so grumpy. Yes. Claire says, morning, everyone. And Evie's saying good morning. Bethany says morning peeps. Hello Bethany. Gig Racer says there is a very well researched diet by the CSIRO here in Australia, and it's very effective if your mum wants to look at something other than keto. I think they're looking at the kind of Mediterranean way of eating. They need to portion control, and they need to not quite eat as many carbs and snacks as they do. And they've gone back onto HelloFresh, which I'm very jealous about. They're only doing it for the two of them because it's not, and I use a subscription box called Green Chef now, which is where I'm getting some of my keto recipes from as well, which is great. And yeah, it's working really well for portion control for the two of them, so that's good. Maggie says, was terrified of sharing, but can't believe how easy it was. Going to have it on everything now. Awesome. I need to get over my fear of doing it and try it as well. Evie says, the best weight loss plan is the one that's lifestyle change. Good for you. And that's awesome. I'm down 70 pounds with 50 more to go this year. For me, the enemy is sugar and flour. Yeah, I am definitely eating way less sugar than I used to. Way less sugar than I used to. Also, my eyebrows are starting to flake, so they're looking a little crazy today, and they're also itching like crazy. The joys of having your face tattooed. Ashley's here. Hi, everyone. Istanbul in Turkey here. Hello, welcome. I've always wanted to go to Istanbul. I will go at some point. I've never been to Turkey at all, actually. I would like to visit. Marjorie says, good morning from South Carolina. Good morning. And Katrice says, good morning. Good morning. Right, let's get the last pattern piece off of the ironing board and onto the table to be traced, and then I can start cutting all the pattern pieces out. See, this is another one of those ones where I wish I'd had the, oh, she's in her bed. She never does that. Good girl. Are you gonna stay there? I'm sorry if anyone feels seasick, but you need to see this because this never happens unless Mum's down here. You in your bed? Oh, quiver, quiver. That's very sweet of her. She's never usually happy if it's just me up here or down here. Has to be Mum as well. Oh no, yeah, spoke too soon. She's out of the bed. Oh. They're not letting you in though, are they? That's the trouble. Now, is this bit long enough to trace out this weird pattern piece? It is, that's good. And that last one was pattern piece number 3. Because as I say in all my sew-alongs, I genuinely do write down the pattern piece numbers and cross them off as I go, because otherwise I forget bits, which is not great. This is another pattern that has a continuous lap already done, which is amazing because I do like the finish you can achieve on sleeves with a continuous lap. Much more than if you have to put the cuff in at the under or the seam sleeve, the underarm seam. I just don't like how far around the cuffs end up on that piece, or when you do it that way, which is why I like the continuous lap, and this pattern has one, so that's nice. Seam allowance is 1/4 inch, yes, 1/4 inch seam allowance. I'm just going to go and sharpen my pencil because it has gone blunt. Oh, are you staring at the door again? You've been abandoned. Right, so this is 11/9006 continuous lap cut 2 cross off piece 11 done. Now the sleeves are quite the bicep measurement on these sleeves is quite small, and I think I'm actually going to just straighten out the sides of the sleeves to give myself a little bit more room, because otherwise they're not going to be wide enough for my chunky upper arms. And I never believed I had chunky upper arms before, but according to these patterns, I do. So get that done. And then this is the front piece that I'm tracing now for the sleeveless version. And as I say, it's cut on the straight of grain, which is interesting. And I can't, what I want to do, like I said, I want to do the version with long sleeves, but I'm kind of intrigued to try this version as well. Let's put in my cut on the fold line. Yeah, Susie's up and whining at the door again. She's doing her heavy breathing thing. Lengthen, shorten line at the waist. I appreciate that. So it's got a grown on kind of back neck facing piece on this pattern. So it's really interesting pattern piece. I like these. Oh, now hang on, I'm doing a size 14 up here, aren't I? So let's trace the right piece. That would be a good start. Oh dear. Can't talk and pattern at the same time, clearly. So now, okay, it's that one. I've done a kind of neckline like this where you have to reinforce a corner and clip into the corner. I've done that on a couple of patterns now. The Butterick 5951 is the most recent one, and if you're accurate and careful, it actually can look really nice, and it's a really good way of doing the facing. So that's 15. Sew in. I'm not sewing, I am tracing. Tracing in the correct lines. So this is where I need to clip and reinforce to. I'm sorry, I'm literally just waffling at myself now, aren't I? I'm not even reading the comments. We need to put in our fold line. And mark that as a fold line so I don't cut it. Folding. This is the facing. I've transferred over all of my little notches and stuff in that area. Where did I get to with the chat? Sarah says, morning from a very sunny West Sussex. Good morning. It's afternoon now, isn't it? Ashley says, keep checking the calendar a whole week. It's Sunday, isn't it? Sunday? Needed the chat this week so bad. Yeah, I know. Yeah, one of those ones where you're just getting through a week just to get through the week. Yeah, I know what you mean. Eliza says, good morning from the Hocking Hills in Ohio. Good morning. Let me let the dog out because she's doing her high-pitched whine now. Have you had enough? Yeah, you want to go? Come on, let's go. Come on. Good girl, well done. Poor little thing's blind as a bat. And then the door in here used to open inwards, so whenever I open the door now, she backs up. She's like, no, I don't want to get hit on the nose. So you won't get hit on the nose, I promise. No noses being hit for Susie dog. Poor little monster. It's got to be really disconcerting being that small and that blind. I'm working in my waistline. The reason I'm doing a size 8 at the waist is because the finished garment measurement is 34 inches. And for the size that it says I should do, 38.5, that would give me 11 inches of ease. And I don't want 11 inches of ease at my waist. So yeah. Do the size 8 at the waist, as I mentioned, and 14 for the bust, so it fits over the boobs. Okay. I had a comment from somebody on my video, my comparison dress size video. And the nicest way to say it is that she was mansplaining to me everything that I had said in that video. And I was kind of like, I read the comments and I was just like, right, okay. And then I watched the video again because I was like, I'm sure I covered those points. But maybe I didn't. Maybe I didn't make the video that I thought I'd made. So I watched the video back again and I had said everything in the video that this lady had explained to me or mansplained to me in the comments, 3 comments that she'd left me. And it was just like, she was like, I think you're getting confused between the need for a full bust adjustment and the length and the shorten lines. And I think they're drafted for a B cup. They're drafted for 5'6" height. They're drafted for this, and you need to do this, and you look like you're this, and you look like you're that, so you need to do this, and you need to do that. And it was just like, I was like, oh, okay. Maybe I didn't put in the 3 dresses I'd made previously to these 2 to show that I've made this dress before and I know how to make it fit me, but I had. And, I was like, I was trying to make, like, the point I was trying to make is that if you use the envelope to tell you what size you should make, which you should be able to do, you don't get the dresses on the envelope. And this three, like, it was just, it was kind of one of those ones where it was just like, I thought I'd mentioned all these things, and I watched it back and I had, and it was just like, oh. But yeah, it was the weirdest kind of, and I appreciate this, but this was from a lady, or at least her username was a lady, but it was, you guys have heard the term mansplaining, haven't you? And that's not derogatory towards men, it's just some men do that. I think brilliant examples of when, people try to explain something to, people were quoting something in a physics lecture, from a doctor, and it was the doctor who was giving the physics lecture that the guy was quoting back to her. Okay. But yeah, I was a little bit confused by that comment, and I wrote a reply because I was a bit like, okay. I wrote a reply, and then I thought, you know what? Actually, no, I don't want to get into a back and forth with somebody who believes that everything that I have said is wrong and is going to tell me everything that I'm telling or saying now is wrong. So I just blocked them. But I felt much better for having written the comment. But yeah, I did just block them because it was just like, I think it was meant with the best of intentions, but it's like, has anyone watched any Rachel Maxey videos when she's kind of like, she's been sewing, and then she's like, people in the comments are just like, oh, you sweet summer squash, you need to do this or do that. And I'm sure that they're meant with the best intentions, but tone is very difficult to get across in emails. So yeah, I was just like, okay, did you just not watch the video at all? Like, I mean, and again, like, the title of the video is Pattern Companies Are Lying to Us. And then I say that is a very tongue-in-cheek, the more sensational the title, the better a video does, I have found. And one of my best performing videos last year was my epic cape fail. So yeah, it was like, it is tongue-in-cheek. And I have had a few people comment saying, I think lying is a little strong, and getting worked up about that as well. It was just like, no, I said it's tongue-in-cheek, it's attention grabbing, which, I mean, basically clickbait without hopefully being too ridiculous clickbait. But yeah, that comment was just, it was one of those ones where it's like, did I not make all of these points in the video? She was trying to explain to me how I could get the dress to fit me better when I'm sitting in a dress that fit me quite well. And I was like, okay. I thought that was funny. But like I say, I've deleted the comments and blocked the person, so I can't show you them. Okay. Are there any other points on here that I need to make a note of? No. So I can cross that piece off and catch up with the chat, because I have just been talking at you, haven't I, for a while? Let's see. Where did I get to? Good grief, I have been chatting for a while, haven't I? Sorry. Maggie says, I'm very much a beginning sewer, so it should be no problem to you. It's always one of those things, though, isn't it, Maggie? When you're trying something new, it's always just like, oh, this is going to go horribly wrong. But yeah, I'm so glad it worked for you, and I'm glad you enjoyed the process. Jackie says, I visited Istanbul before COVID, and there was a terrorist scare while we were there. I don't think anyone was hurt, but police were great. Oh, how scary for you. Yeah, I remember living in London when we had terrorist scares all the time. Not fun. Not fun. Marissa says, good evening, everyone from Brisbane. Good evening. Marjorie says, what pattern are you tracing? It's the Vogue 9006. I need to try and work up a way of leaving this propped up somewhere so you guys can see it, but I haven't got anywhere. But yes, it's the Vogue 9006, and I'm going to eventually be making this one. Carmen says, good morning, peeps. Don't forget to hit the like button. Thank you, Carmen. Good morning. Alison says, happy Sunday and greetings, Shan and peeps from hot and humid Bendigo. How is Chiana today? She is very well today. She had a very crazy mad cat moment this morning at 6:45 a.m. The sun's coming up earlier, so she's getting up earlier. And she was running all around the room at top speed, which was a bunch of fun. So I employed corporal cuddling, and she calms down after I've done that. She screams at me while I do it. Not impressed, but she does calm down after I've done that. Natalie says, you don't have chunky arms, lol. I watch another sewist who always makes the smaller size and she has to enlarge the sleeve sometimes. She's slender as a wand. Yeah, I think it's a weird kind of combination. Like the brand ambassador that I spoke to at Slimplicities, who own McCall's Butterick and Vogue, and again, this was said in the comment that I mentioned. It was said to me that the amount of ease isn't arbitrary. It's there as it is there. There are ease charts that show you what ease you should expect in what type of dresses. And the Vogue ease chart says you should expect 3 to 4 inches of ease in a fitted dress. And I'm sorry, but no, that's not right. And the lady, the ambassador that I spoke to, said that there is actually more ease added to patterns because the American market wanted more ease. She said that's very much changed now, but she said they are drafted for the American market and everything else is a subsidiary sales area, and that they were specifically drafted with extra added ease in for the American market. So yeah. Let's see. Johanna says, good morning, everyone. Good morning. Carmen says, a strong shoulder and arm is definitely always a dilemma for me. I need to learn how to do a proper bicep adjustment. I did that on the 6891. No, the 9345 straight sleeve, the shorter one. It's not as difficult as I thought it was going to be. Rachel Lynn says, good morning. Good morning. Sal says, we should leave so that Sean will be talking to herself. Yeah, I wouldn't. I would be like, oh, everyone's gone. Natalie says, pattern, not matter, sigh. Yeah. My autocorrect is crazy this morning, don't worry. Dillick's here. Hi, Shannon Peeps. Hi, Dillick. How are you? I was thinking about you the other day, actually. I haven't seen you for a while. I hope you're well. Christine says, bonjour, Shannon Peeps. How are you doing today? Still minus 20 degrees centigrade in Montreal and Burr. Yes, wow. Chilly. Liz says hi. Liz of Mpenzi Designs. Mpenzi's? Hopefully I got that sort of right. Nessa says, good morning, everyone. I set an alarm so I could be more on time. Good morning, Anessa. Nimue says, happy Sunday, everyone. The storm has blown the clouds away for a bit of sunshine for now. That's nice. It is sunny here as well, which is lovely. Natalie says, my roommate mansplains often. He thinks he's being helpful. Oh, I am absolutely convinced this lady thought she was being helpful. It was said in a... My initial reaction was it was condescending, but it was said in a tone that I think she was trying to be helpful, but it was just... I was just a bit kind of confused. Still confused as to why she felt the need to explain all of the things to me that I had mentioned in the video. She was telling me that I might need to learn to do full bust adjustments. It's like, okay. Rachel Lynn says, I think Simplicity is making some of the changes. I was watching Rochelle Handmade, I think that's the person, and she got new patterns. At least one had hip and waist finish garment measurements. I have been given a date. I can't tell you the date. I've just been told next year. So yeah. And then hopefully they will announce stuff. And just because of the size of the company and the way that things work and the fact that it's not, you know, down to the individuals that are making the patterns or making the envelopes, it's corporate. But yeah, I've been told to look out for exciting changes next year, which I am very excited about. The meeting with the brand ambassador was incredibly positive, and all the stuff that everyone's been asking for has been totally taken on board, and there's been really good reasons for the reason it's taking it so long. But again, it's not my place to give that information out. Cecilia says, good morning. So glad that you did the pattern companies. So glad that you did. The pattern companies are lying to us. I find this very true. I don't know how many garments I've made going off of the measurements on the back, and they come out so off, and I'm just disappointed. I haven't ever seen anything that actually fits sewn anything that actually fits so far. Yeah, I ignore the back of the envelope now. The only reason I reference it is to show you guys that I'm ignoring it. Let's see, with this one, I should be doing a size 16 for the bust and I'm doing a 14. I should be doing a size 14 for the waist and I'm doing an 8. And I should be doing a size 20 for the hips and I'm doing a 16. So yeah. Evie says, your pattern envelope video was spot on and got me to start sewing again. That's awesome. Liz says, what pattern are you tracing? It is this one. Ashley says, some people don't waste time watching the video and jump to the comment section right away. Yeah, I mean, that's, I don't know. It was, well, I mean, she referenced quite a lot of the things that I've said. Like, you know, I said that I thought the length and shorten lines in the midriff threw the proportions of the dress out, and that some people, whilst it's drafted for a 5'6" and you have to add length, other people have different proportions on their upper torso, and it would be nice to have options. And she was like, oh, I think you're getting the length and shorten line confused with the need for a full bust adjustment. You need to add length and then you need to do the full bust adjustment. And you look like you're at least a C cup. It's like, wow. And actually, I mean, this one is a C cup. This is one of their cupped patterns, and this is a C cup. And I mean, my bra that I wear is an F. So it's got, again, nothing to do with kind of like actual ready to wear sizing. But it was just the, as I say, the overwhelming impression I got from that comment was condescension and excessive amounts of mansplaining. So I wrote what I thought was quite a snotty reply, although I showed it to my friends and they were like, no, that wasn't snotty. Send it and block. And I was just like, no, because I really, really don't want to get into a back and forth argument with somebody who believes they know better than I do. And I'm not saying that they don't. They may well have a full, you know, formal education in pattern drafting and sewing and all the rest of it. And I don't, and I know I don't. But I have been sewing for over 8 years now. And I like to think that I have worked out what works for me and what doesn't. And that's why I felt confident making that video, because it wasn't just me kind of like bitching about my inexperience. It was me bitching about my experience with the patterns that I love. And I mean, that's not to say that I am an experienced sewer. I'm not saying that I am at all. But what I am saying is that they have made a lot of people put off because you just don't get what's on the, you know, it doesn't do what it says on the tin. It's not a Ronseal product. I used to love those adverts. It does exactly what it says on the tin. So yeah, it was just a really bizarre kind of comments thread to read from this person. And yeah, I'm not saying that she was doing it to be, you know, a bitch or anything. I'm sure she meant to be helpful. But it just really did feel like she'd not read the assignment kind of thing. So, yeah. Let's see. Nimoy says, don't forget to like the stream, peeps. Yes, 157 of us and 51 likes. Liz says, good evening from here in Tokyo. Good evening. I think you're our first visitor from Japan. Welcome. Jackie says, nice to know we are a subsidiary market. Oh, yeah. No, and what got me is that Great Britain, Europe, and Australia are classed as the same market. Although, again, I will say they are trying to change that. They are branching Australia off into its own, and they are trying to get more bases in so that Europe and UK are broken up and not being looked after by like the one team. But I mean, the thing that you have to, or the thing that to bear in mind is that these are corporations, and they've been bought by bigger corporations, and bigger corporations buy things like this, and then they're like, right, everything stops. We need to analyze everything and work out what we need to change and how we're going to do this and how we're going to do that. And I think because they've been bought out twice since 2016 by two very different, much larger corporations, that's been where some of the delays have happened, because the same process has basically happened twice. As I say, it was a really interesting chat, and I feel 100% confident that the concerns being raised by people in the sewing community are being listened to. I mean, as you guys know, Mimi G's on the case, so like, you know, she's a sewer and knows firsthand what she wants from a pattern envelope. So there are interesting things afoot, shall we say. Yeah. I thought the comment section of that video was the most telling, and that's, you know, when I tagged all of Simplicity UK and America in the Instagram post and I got a response, I was just like, please, even if you don't watch the video, just go and read the comment section, because I mean, all in the grand scheme of things, this is a very tiny corner of the interwebs, but the majority of those comments were just like, I don't use the Big Four because of this reason. And it's like, if a majority of my audience feel like that, they're losing so many people. Like, and they're such good patterns, they just need to be more informative. And it's not information they don't already have. It's not information that they would need to do a whole bunch of changes for. They just need to put it in a more accessible place and just be more honest about ease that's been added. And as I say, they add extra ease because the American market prefer that, or have preferred that in the past. So yeah, it was very interesting. Carol says, good morning from NYC. Good morning. Ashley says they should have add more sizes instead of ease, trying to be inclusive with actually being so. That was the other thing we were trying to, I was saying as well, we need to, it's great that they're expanding the pattern sizes up, but they also need to go down as well for the smaller sewists, because the smallest size on here is for a 31-inch bust, 24-inch waist, and 33-inch hip. Now, I have a 28-inch waist, and I'm making the size 8 for, it's supposed to be for a 24-inch waist. Nah. Yeah, they need to expand up and down. It needs to be, if you're going to be inclusive, you need to be inclusive. Okay, so that's piece 10 done. 11 is done. So I need to do piece 5, which is here. Is this the right size? No, that's the 16. Is that the, that's the size 14. So let's trace this bit. The word historically was used a lot in that conversation, because that was the thing. Historically, they've done patterns the way that they have because historically the market that they were drafting for or aiming at historically wanted this thing or that thing or the other thing. And they're realizing that people have changed in their wants and needs and wishes. So yeah, I thought it was interesting. It was very interesting kind of talking to Amy about all these different aspects of the business and why certain things have taken the time that they have and things. So yeah, interesting conversation. Okay, just gone. Okay, so that's pattern piece number 5, the Vogue 9006, and it's the back bodice armhole facing size 14, cut 2 of fabric and interfacing. Okay, so that's pattern piece number 5. So I've just got the short sleeve to do, and then I can start cutting out all the pieces. So I haven't got enough room on this piece of paper, but I do have enough room on one of the other ones. So let's swap. And let's actually move this around as well, so it's down here. Better. Where have we got to with the chat? Eli says, good morning, everyone. 7:30ish in Sofla. Where is that? so.fla. And it's morning. Where would that be? Southern Florida? I don't know. You'll have to let me know. Noelia says, hi, Peeps and Sean. Have just come back from 5-mile walk with the hubs and making the most of the weather. How are you, Sean? I'm very well, thank you. How are you, Noelia? Did you enjoy your walk? Where did you go? Because I kind of know you're stomping around a little bit. Just round. Right. Here's my spare piece of paper. Trace my short sleeve. I wasn't going to do the short sleeve, but I have changed my mind because I don't want to change my mind later and decide that I want the short sleeve and then not have it traced. And I am actually going to change the side of it because this is a very small sleeve and I may still need to do a full bicep adjustment on this one. So I'm just going to make, I've not added a lot there. I might still need to change a bit more. But I need the sleeve cap to at least fit into the size 14 armhole. So I'm tracing the size 14 sleeve cap. I'm straightening out the sides of the sleeves because they are very kind of like they're tapered in on this one, which will not work for me. Isn't it weird that like of all the places that they don't add extra ease is in the sleeves, and that's usually where you want the most mobility? I think that's mad, but again, there's probably a reason for it. Okay. And there's this, I'm actually just going to trace this straight across. There is a slight curve to the hem of this, but because I've straightened out the sides, I'm just going to trace that straight across, and we'll see how that goes. It might be a bad idea. We shall find out. Yeah, okay, so I can cross that off. Crossed all my pieces off, haven't missed anything. That's always good because we know what I'm like. And I can very easily miss a piece. And then I folded all my pattern pieces back up, and that's really annoying. So where did I get to? Noelia. Carmen says, sometimes I think I should only wear tent dresses and muumuus because fitting is sometimes so hard when you don't have a normal shape. Yeah, I mean, fitting is not the easiest thing. Definitely one of the hardest parts of dressmaking for sure. And I think that if we had accurate information to start with, before you even get the pattern pieces out of the envelope, I think it would give people more confidence. But I mean, this is the problem. It's like so many people have tried these kinds of patterns and it says it's easy, and then it says it's like learn to sew, and then it says you should make this size, and you do, and you end up with this thing that looks awful on you. And of course you blame yourself. You don't blame the pattern. Why would you? Because this is, you've got bought something from the experts who are like, this is a learn to sew. We are teaching you how to do the thing. This is how you do the thing. And then when you do the thing, it doesn't come out like you're expecting it to, and then it's just like, well, hang on a minute, that's not right. And of course, why would you think it's the pattern's fault? Why would you? Because they're the experts. That's why you bought the thing from them in the first place. I am going to sit down for a second. So I'm going to turn you around, but you need to bring your power cable with, because otherwise you will go away, and we don't want that. I'm going to sit down, catch up with the chat, and mainline my pint of water. That's one thing I've noticed about keto. I do drink a lot more, but that's good because I never drank enough in the first place. Alessa says, I made pants that were too big because I forgot stretch needs negative ease, and I got told off for using finished garment measurement, and that's why they're too big. But if I went by the other ones, they would have been 4 sizes bigger. Who told you off for that? That's bizarre. This is the other thing, like, the other side of that comment section was a lot of people just saying, well, obviously you use this measurement, or obviously you use that measurement, and obviously you do this. And it's like, none of that's on the pattern. And where is this information coming from? I'm not saying you're wrong, but what I'm saying is not everybody has that assumed knowledge. I had one person say to me, well, you obviously just measure your pattern pieces. And it's like, yeah, okay, sure, I get that. But I am between the pattern size bundle sizes, and technically if I went by what the envelope says, I would buy the bigger bundle size, get it home, measure it, and be like, well, that's not going to fit me, and then have to go back and buy the other one. That's why I want it on the outside. But who told you off, Vanessa? That was mean. And Jackie says, love the cement measurements. Carmen says to Eli, are the iguanas falling off the trees in Florida yet? Iguanas fall off of trees? Oh gosh, did everyone see the tortoises running video? That's got to be CGI, hasn't it? That can't be real. Tortoises don't run that fast. I just thought it was so funny. Moran says, thank goodness for iPhones. I wanted to sew with you, but 3 weeks of self-isolation and nice weather convinced me to take the girls to the playground to spend some energy whilst I listened to my friends. Oh, I'm so glad that we're accompanying you out on your outings. Dilek says, thank you, Shan. Nice to hear you thought of me. Last year at Christmas, I had thought of you as well. I'm doing fine right now at the moment. I'm taking a break from uni and working as a nurse again. Oh, it's nice to hear that you're good. Nice to hear you're good. Lisa says, good afternoon, peeps from Cumbria. Good afternoon, Lisa. Natalie says, I think I heard that the big four are all owned by the same corporation now. Not sure if that's even true. So yes, Simplicity, Vogue, Butterick, McCall's, New Look, and Burda. I think Quixo have gone off, but the other ones are all owned by the same company. You are correct. Kathleen says, wonder how they determined the US demographic wanted more ease. Did they actually survey people? Too much ease may be comfortable, but just ends up looking frumpy. I want stylish, not frump. I know, I think, as I say, Kathleen, I think this was like historical, and I think this was from kind of maybe we're talking sort of 60s, 70s, although those patterns I've heard fit better and more true to envelope size. I'm not sure where that kind of came in. And this is not meant to be offensive, but I'm wondering if vanity sizing came into it as well, so that you could sew a smaller size because that much ease has been added to it. So you could say, oh, I'm sewing this size or this size. And I know because clothing companies do vanity sizing as well. So, and again, that's not meant to be offensive. That's just a thought that I had. Yeah, I mean, again, there was one person who went through the comment section of that video answering everybody. And they were like, well, because they add extra ease because it's easier to take away than it is to add. And it's like, well, sure. But if you end up with something that, you know, like your shoulder seams are coming down here and then your armhole, I think Nimue made this point, if the armhole is far too low, then you can't add back in there. You want a good starting point. So, yeah. Evie says, as an American, I feel the need to apologize. I just read here that 195 countries. So I just one shouldn't rule it for the rest. And again, Evie, these are historically American companies, so that's well, okay. I think, which is why they have catered to the American market, and it's not against Americans at all. Like, you are the largest percentage of my audience. I am not against you at all. It was the commentary from this lady about the history of the company and why it progressed the way it progressed, and why that certain decisions had been made in the ways that they had. And it's not meant to be like nobody else has thought of. It was just that this is how it's historically been, so it's going to change from there. Rachel Lynn says South Florida. I was right. That's good. Yay. Crockett TP says good morning, everyone. I want to say Priscilla. Did I have that right? I need a cheat sheet. I need a cheat sheet for all of your screen names and your actual names. Evie says to Kathleen, I wonder if that was back in the 90s when styles were more frumpy. Yeah, see, 80s and 90s were very oversized as well. So I don't know when the shift happened. Natalie says, by historically, I wonder if they mean the 80s and early 90s. The styles were baggy and oversized then. Yes. Liz says, Sean, what tracing paper are you using? It seems wide enough. This is my roll of tracing paper. It is from Morplan, and there was 300 meters on it. I bought this 2 years ago, and it used to be kind of like that thick. This is how many patterns I trace. And this is why I use this, because it works out about 3p per meter, or 0.3p per meter. It's £70 for the roll. And I love Swedish tracing paper. If I could afford to use Swedish tracing paper for everything, I would, but I can't because I trace as much as I do. So yeah, Morplan. I don't know if they will ship to Japan though. But it's 138 centimeters wide, which is very nice. Carmen says to Kathleen, maybe it's because a lot of ease means you could get away with smaller sizes, vanity over style. Cecilia says, have a lovely day. Oh, where did it go? Cecilia, I missed the end of that comment. Gosh, I'm well behind the chat. Off to work. Thank you for joining us, Cecilia. Asley says, misplaced the power cord and foot pedal on my machine. Send help. Oh no, I hope you find them. Nimue says, my biggest pet peeve with the lack of transparency remains that going by the chart available before purchase, I most often end up in the pattern that simply can't fit me. Would ignore the size chart completely if finished measurements were provided on the front to base my decision on. Yeah, exactly. And that's the only change I want. Oh, and the model size and what you've put her in, what size you've put her in, and if you've pinned it to her. Please don't pin it to her. Anessa says, Carmen, that's what I was going to say too, but how do you pick the right size? That only works for people who have been sewing forever and it just make the same size. Yeah, exactly. There's a lot. This is the problem, the assumed knowledge. Kathleen says to Evie, yes, there were some awful fashions in the 90s and they're trying to bring them back. Ugh, yeah. Jane says, I always do a large bicep adjustment as a matter of course. I think I'm going to have to start learning to do that because, yeah, most of this, that's another reason I like bishop sleeves. That is another reason I like bishop sleeves, is because there is a lot of room in them and I can do this. And yeah. Noelia says, I'm well, thank you. I have enjoyed the walk as it's nice and sunny in Suffolk. We walked near our village, Easton, which is between Framlingham and Wickham Market. Yeah, I know where you are. Eli says, South Florida, 45 degrees Fahrenheit, 7.2 degrees centigrade, sunny. Ooh, that's quite chilly for Florida, isn't it? Ashley says, by the way, there are ease issues from designer patterns from the Big Four, like Vogue or Angela Clayton Lizette. I haven't tried an Angela Clayton one yet. And I think hers are slightly different because I think hers are sized as if you were wearing a corset, because a lot of the patterns that she has done for outerwear, you have to wear foundation wear for. I have 2 of her coats that I want to make, and I'm thinking I might make the jacket quite soon. Although I do want to make my life difficult and make it out of a plaid fabric, but I think that kind of goes with the cobra corsage. We'll have to have a look in a minute. In fact, let's do that. Let's do what I said we were going to do, because we've been going for an hour and 18 minutes. Wow. So what I'll do next, once I've had my little sit down, is we'll get the fabrics out and we'll start putting patterns and fabrics together, because that was the idea for today, wasn't it? And I think that's going to help me as well to get ready to plan things out. Rachel Lynn says, I love what you're wearing today, so pretty. Thank you. My newly finished dress, and this is the Heart cardigan from Kim Hargreaves. I think you can just about see that there are cables in there. Mum knit this for me. Evie says to Kathleen, they are, aren't they? There were so many ugly styles back then. The only way it'll work is if they change them a whole lot. Yes. Linda's here. Afternoon, peeps. What have I missed? Love the navy dress. Thank you. Carmen says to Eli, above 40, I have friends a bit north and they tell me below 40 for several hours makes iguanas fall off trees easier to remove. I love that. Nadia says, just like to say hi from Australia. Good evening. How are you? Eli says, love that you have addressed the problems we have with the commercial pattern company for all of us. I mean, it's not just me. I mean, but that was the thing. It was just, like, Mum gets really confused by the sizing that she should make and shouldn't make. Like the size that the patterns envelope said I should make has fit Mum quite well, but we still need to do a few adjustments on it for her to get it to fit her better. But yeah, this says the ease in the big four patterns drove me crazy 5 years ago as a beginner, but then right now the thing I've figured out what works for me. I mean, that's the thing, like same for me. I got lucky to start with because I just ignored the sizing chart and went for a size 8, which was my high street size, and it happened to fit. I got lucky. And then since then I've kind of worked out what works for me, which is great. And like I think people working out the changes that they need to make is awesome. Like again, the lady that made the comment, she was like, well, I have this figure and I have to make these changes and do this and do that. And it's like, that's fabulous. And I bought the Nancy Zeman book, Pattern Fitting with Confidence, because you guys recommended it to me and I love it. But I just don't think that it should be that difficult for you to choose the envelope without any knowledge. I think you should be able to pick up an envelope and say, okay, these are the measurements. I'll get this size or I'll get this size. Because again, fit is very personal. Not everybody wants a super fitted dress like I do. Not everybody wants that. And the Vogue ease chart says that a fitted dress should have 3 to 4 inches of ease, which I would not enjoy. So yeah, I think it just needs to be transparent and more informative, and I think it easily could be, and apparently easily will be. So yeah. Let's see. Sal says, watching Sean fold that pattern, it was just beautiful. It's watching John Wick make a gun out of several guns. Thank you. Yeah, I do like folding the tissue paper back flat again. Lowell says to Sal, absolutely. Anessa says, just some lady in a sewing group. I'm sure she was trying to help, but what she said didn't make sense, and I'm struggling enough as a beginner. Oh, wow. There's nothing. See, this is the other thing. I really don't want beginners to get put off because it's just, my glasses are filthy. I'm not sure I'm making them any better. I think I've just made my dress filthy now and streaked my glasses. There we go. Fabulous. Such a good look. I think, I mean, another common, well, for the people that didn't agree with me in the video was like, people should not expect the patterns to give you fitting lessons. They should, if you really want to learn to sew, you should go and take classes. Well, a lot of people picked it up in the last 2 years where that was not physically possible. You had to do things at home, and that's why a lot of people took up sewing in the last couple of years, is because they were stuck at home and they couldn't go anywhere and they couldn't interact with people, and they had to do things by themselves, learning online. And yes, learning online and Zoom classes are great, but there is a very big difference between having somebody teach you to sew in person and showing you fit techniques and things in person than there is for somebody, because you could be standing, like Mum does this when Dad and I are trying to help her achieve like fits and stuff like this. She'll stand still and we'll be like, we'll make a comment and she'll do that and like look over her shoulder and twist. And then it's just like, stand still, because you can't see your back, and if you do that, it distorts everything and it doesn't help what we're trying to do. So it's a lot of trial and error, and just it's not always available for people to go to a class to learn. So yeah. Evie says, I know patterns aren't designed to teach us to sew, but there were so many measurements unlisted that I had no idea about till you pointed it out. At the very least, those should be listed. Exactly. Debbie says, well, obviously is a subtle form of gatekeeping. I sometimes say things that, like, if I had something like that, but I discovered that doing X can help, you will get there. Yeah, exactly. I mean, this is the thing. It's like not everybody has all of the assumed knowledge. I mean, one of the main shtick of my channel is I interpret sewing patterns for you guys to show you what they mean by the instructions when I do my sew alongs. It's like I read the instruction out and then I either do what they tell me to or totally ignore it, and I'll tell you why or what they mean. And a lot of the time, to me, it's plain, clear English. It's like, okay, that's what you mean. And mum will be making something and she'll be like, what do they mean by this? So I'll come over and I'll be like, okay, they mean this. And for some reason it makes sense to me. Which is great, but and apparently that's something that's changing as well, as the instructions are going to become clearer, which is awesome. But I don't think that you should have to have somebody hold your hand to be able to just pick a pattern up to buy. I think you should be able to look at it and go, okay, I measure this, that, or the other, and this is what I want to do from it. So yeah, it's a very good point, Debbie. Adele says, but is it that they want more ease or vanity sizing? Yeah. Rachel then says, yep, they're cold-blooded and not used to the temperatures. I'd go outside and take pics, but I'm warm and cozy in bed. Don't worry. Priscilla says, yes, it's Priscilla. I remembered. Yay. Mary says, hello from southwestern Ohio. Nice to be here. Lots of people from Ohio today. Lots of Ohio peeps. Welcome. Lowell says, there was more honesty in the 50s. Whoever heard of anything so preposterous for an adult woman as a size 2? You're wearing a 24, you're probably a size 30. Yeah. Yeah. Well, they did a survey, didn't they, in the early 50s of a certain number of women, and that's where ready-to-wear high street sizing came from, and it hasn't been changed since. So yeah. Lisa says, I'm trying to reduce my scraps and making all my the Calypso tees from Sinclair. However, 14-week-old puppy has literally learned to climb the stairs and has just run off with a mouthful of jersey. Lovely. Evie says to Lowell, I know women that are genuinely a size 2 or 0 or negative depending on the brand, but they were very small and petite. I mean, when I was much, much younger, I had somebody else commented once that I mentioned my size too often and my waist too often. When I was much, much younger, I had naturally a 23-inch waist, and a lot of the clothing on the high street, the smallest size did not fit me. I got away with it because I still had really big butt at the time. I think in comparison, and again, this is proportional to me. So when I say a really big butt, and it was, I think, 36 inches, and I'm currently 8 inches bigger than that. And I'm not saying that any of those are inherently wrong size. I'm just talking about my experience and my personal issues with trying to find high street clothing. So yeah, I did find, like, I used to buy All Saints clothes because I absolutely love them. I'm not cool girl enough to wear, and I didn't ever wear All Saints clothes the way that they were supposed to be. I was a wannabe pin-up. I was wearing the big floaty skirts and the little crop top tied tops, but I didn't know about that yet. And I would buy the smaller size and it still wouldn't fit. It's like I've got a monsoon skirt in my wardrobe now, and at the time, the only one they had was a size 10, and I loved it. It was this silk skirt and it's gorgeous. And as I say, I still have it, and now it fits me. But at the time, it was low slung on my hips, and that's not how I wanted to wear it. I wanted to wear it at my waist. But I thought I'd buy it and try and take it in. And I'm so glad I didn't, because I would have butchered it. It's beautiful, and it fits now. So old me was doing future me some solids. Maria says, good morning from Long Island, New York. Good morning. Nimue says, Berta, not being American in origin, certainly has a different policy. I find that their size charts are usually fairly correct about which size I need, even if it's 2 above my ready-to-wear size. Yeah, Berta, they've so Simplicity et al. Have licensed Berta to print Berta patterns, and that's the only side of that they have any involvement with, is the printing side of it, not the actual drafting or anything size. And like I said, I've never made a Berta pattern, but I will be this year because Karin has sent me a dirndl pattern and the silk and the ribbons and the doodads to make it, and I am going to make it this year. I am going to make it. It's going to be awesome. Natalie says, the numbers used in sizing are just symbols as we recognise in ascending or descending order. The actual digits don't mean anything, whether you're a 2 or a 40. Exactly. Gay says, I worked for Associated British Paper Patterns over 50 years ago, typing out the instructions in the office in London. They certainly did, and they certainly did fit it better. But sewing, not using the big 4, still sewing, but not using the big 4 as much. And see, this is the thing that I think is mad, is that they have such a giant audience available out there to them, because they are the most prolific of pattern providers, and because all the indies in the best will in the world, they cannot keep up with the volume that they put out, but their product is better, which is why more people buy it, and why people aren't buying the big 4 anymore, and I think it's mad. Nimue says, Nikki from Liam has offered to share her ballet costume tip for banana sleeves. Yes, I saw that. Changing the shape of the underarm curve for movement. Enthusiastic response means video will follow. I know, I saw. I'm really looking forward to that. That was when she was refitting that bib-fronted dress, wasn't it? That's stunning on her. Carol says, I believe McCall Simplicity distributes Burda, but it's a separate company. Yes, exactly. Yeah, they have the license to print the patterns that are put out in the magazine, but it is a separate company. But they do own the license for that, and Burda is one of their kind of like little niche markets that they have in that capacity. Sonia says, good evening, Shan and Peeps from Australia. Hope you're all having a fabulous day. Very fabulous, thank you. Welcome. Good evening. Joanna says, I do not believe Burda will be able to get a clear instructions. That would not be Burda anymore. That's another reason I've been putting them off. Again, quite a lot of assumed knowledge there. Kathleen says, did the brand ambassador address why patterns are so very expensive? When I first started sewing decades ago, they cost 35 cents. For what the pattern actually is, shouldn't cost anywhere what it does. I think because they are so often and readily discounted, they didn't address that, to be honest. It wasn't something I thought about asking because there's so many sales so often, and I think Joann's puts out sales really often, and I think Joann's views them as loss leaders because they think of them as an enticement to get people into the shop. And when you go to the shop, you're not just going to buy a pattern, you're going to buy fabric and all these other things as well. But we have a very different system over here in the UK. We don't have like the same kind of couponing culture that is over in America. And again, I've been to Key West for a day. That's my experience of America. And I've never been shopping in America, so I can't speak to like anything more than that. But it's I think that they're priced the way that they are because they're always just discounted, and I think that you kind of have to just like wait for the discounts. So yeah, I mean, $26 for the American Vogue patterns, just like what? So yeah. Anessa says, if I hadn't found you, Shan, I honestly would have given up. YouTube made it possible to keep going. Oh, that's so lovely, Anessa. Yay. Noelia says, classes are expensive. I paid £90 for a 5-week class, 1 day a week, and the fabric and pattern included. The teacher didn't make clothes, but lampshades and blinds. I ended up teaching myself to sew. Oh, wow. Wow. Okay, yeah. I mean, that's the other thing as well. Like, it is an expensive thing to get into because you have the cost of the machine to think about as well. And I mean, not everyone's mental like me and buys an £8,000 machine as their first proper sewing machine. I just happened to have, at the time, the disposable income to do that. And I bought what my mum told me was the top of the line because I was just like, okay, like, you know, I think I'm going to like this. But not everybody can do that or wants to do that. I mean, nobody needs my machine. I love my machine. It's amazing, but nobody needs that. It does a lot of things that I don't need it to do, but it does a lot of things that I love as well. So, you know, it's an expensive hobby to get into, especially if you don't end up liking it and loving it. You know, it's, yeah. And if you get put off by patterns, then I can see that you wouldn't. Natalie says, Shan, are you a Dean girl or a Sam girl? Dean, all the way, Jensen Ackles. I mean, technically, Sam's a much nicer person, but Dean. Although I wouldn't want to date Dean at all, or Sam, to be honest, either of them. No. To be fair, Jeffrey Dean Morgan. Yeah. So yeah. Chris says, I get my hubby to take photos of me so I can see the adjustments I need to make. That's a really good idea. Yeah. The creative Mrs. K says, preaching to the choir. I absolutely just made a big 4 dress and ended up taking it in a ton for it to fit. Yeah. Julie says, good day, Shan, and all from Oklahoma. Your discussion about envelope size, I must say, has helped me so much as I came back to garment sewing again. You have all shared so much knowledge. Thank you. And thank you very much for joining us. And I'm so glad that it was helpful. Noelia says, I found you by learning how to insert a sleeve as a teacher didn't know how to. Oh, wow. Rachel then says, you're a sewing channel. Knowing your size helps us. That's what I think. Yeah. When this person sort of told me off for constantly mentioning my own size, I was just like, I said to Mum, and I was genuinely like, how am I meant to convey fit and ease if I don't say my measurements? Like, am I missing something? Is there something that I could do? Because I know sizing and talking about measurements can be quite polarizing. And I know that some people find taking their own measurements very fraught and don't enjoy it and don't like seeing the numbers written down. And it's never meant to alienate anybody. It's just an open way of me saying that I've made this size because I'm this size and this is the amount of ease that I've got. But when I got that comment, I was just genuinely like, how do I do this without doing that? And I couldn't think of a way, so I didn't stop. And to be fair, actually, the person that had made that comment, I can isolate comments on the back end of YouTube, and I can type your username in and see all the comments that you've made over the years. And I did that with this person because I kind of had this feeling that I was like, whenever this person comments, it's never overly nice or helpful. And I actually reading all of their, I mean, this probably wasn't fair to them because their comments were spaced out over a space of about, I went back 6 months, but they were all, the times that they'd taken the time to comment, they'd all been fairly negative. In there's constructive and then there's negative, and they had been negative rather than I thought constructive. So I ended up blocking the person because I was just like, I always feel bad when I read this because I don't. And again, I don't mean to create my own little echo chamber of like, oh, everything you do is fabulous, because I know it's not. But it was one of those ones where it was just like, the time that you take to put this out there is, it's not, you're not adding to the positivity of the conversation. You're not constructively saying something that, rather than doing this, have you thought about this? Like the whole shit sandwich thing, you know, bad, something nice with the bad, then something nice. So, you know, so yeah, I ended up blocking that person. But I find it helpful to know the sizes of the person that I'm looking at and then find out what size they've sewn, because it helps me gauge how they've fitted their dress or trousers or whatever. So yeah, I'm never kind of sitting here going, oh, I had a 23-inch waist. I mean, I did, and that was the reason I got into sewing. But I also had 36-inch boobs and hips, so I was a proper hourglass. Like now, I'm technically a pear shape, but I like to cheat it so I look like an hourglass. So yeah, the me talking about my measurements is never meant to be like, it's meant to be helpful. So hopefully it is. Majority of you think it is. Debbie says, what are your thoughts on the new Gertie jeans? It looks like it has a curvy fit on the body and should work okay to be wide, to widen the legs. I really like those. The only reason I haven't bought them yet is because they're only PDF. I have 2 coupon codes from Gertie because I am a patron of hers. I have 2 40% off coupons, so I could buy the 2 new patterns as PDFs and have them printed, because I know one of the print places in America has closed down, and that's meant that she hasn't been able to have these last 2 patterns printed. And I'm a print pattern girl. I want them printed. And I know what I am like. I will buy them as PDFs, and then if they come out on a printed pattern, I will probably buy them as well. So I'm waiting. But yes, no, I really like both of them. I really like both of them. And one of my coupon codes is valid until June this year, and the other one's valid till June next year. So I've got some time. And if it doesn't come out in printed before then, I might buy the latest gown, because I hadn't bought the gown either, and I do like that as well, although I don't know if I'd ever make it. Evie says to Rachel Lynn, definitely. Yeah, I mean, I hope my intent comes across. I'm never meant to be bragging or like, this is me. It's always meant to be helpful. That's what this channel is about. This channel's made me grow as a sewist as well. Like if you go back to watch some of my earlier videos, this is, you know, I've come on leaps and bounds. And that's another thing, is I have no formal training, and if I can do it, anyone can do it. Yes, my progress is probably slightly accelerated from a person who has a full-time job and sews as a hobby, because this is my full-time job. I just dived right in and was like, you know what, I want to do this. And I'm lucky enough to be in the position that I could do that. So, you know, like practice makes perfect, and I am a living example of that. And that is, you know, what I hope to convey. Noelia says to Loel, I'm a size 6 UK and my top and an 8 in my bottom, and only 5'2", and now all the patterns are small enough, and not all patterns are small enough. Also, I sew for my 16-year-old daughter who likes similar clothes, but to me, but thinner. Yeah. And that's something that I did say to the ambassador, that because she was very much like, we're expanding the size range. It's going to be, we're adding in plus size, and we already have quite a lot of plus size things in there. And it's like, yeah, you need to go down as well, because there are people that just do not fit into your patterns that want to make them. Reske says, I had an 80-year-old student that used to be friends with the lady that started Birder. Oh, wow, very cool. Nimue says, I often use the English instructions of my Birder patterns because the German terminology might as well be Latin sometimes. The irony. Oh, wow. That's impressive. I'm always so impressed by people who are bilingual, Nimue. Like, just amazing. Lynn says, hi, Sean. Hi, everybody. Hope everybody is well. Just joined. We'll have, while having some tea and toast. Lynn. Hello, Lynn. Welcome. Nice to see you. Anessa says, I looked into sewing classes and even started saving, only to find out that only ones offered were to make woven pajama pants that have no fitting, and that's not what I need. Yeah, no. I know By Hand London do bodice fitting seminars on webinars online, and I think you can buy that afterwards as well. Like it's a live one, but you can also purchase a replay of it. Their bodice fitting ebook that they did was very good as well. I have that too. Sophie says, sorry to go off topic, but Rachel from Stitch Up said you taught her how to record sew along in fast time, reduce the memory on your memory space. Do you know what she meant? I just record regularly on my camera, and then I speed it up post-production on iMovie. Well, I use Final Cut Pro, but it used to be iMovie. So you can. There are fast recording options on the camera, but I like to record in real time and then speed it up post, because sometimes I'll be like, "Oh, this happened," and I want to be able to in post like pick that bit out so I can just say skirts or something to you in real time. So I'm not quite sure what she meant. Evie says, my old colleague teacher used to help me get into sewing and sent me 90% off I needed. Otherwise, there was no way I ever could afford to start sewing. Yeah, I love all these people who are like, oh, you sew, you can make this for me. It'll be cheaper for you to make it, right? No. So, yeah. Guy Gracer says, I'm about to do an overlocker course. I've never used one. It's $175 over 6 weeks, but I think it's a good investment as I just inherited a Binet 610D and I have no idea how to use it. Yeah, I mean, see, one of the things that I did when I started was Mum was a huge fan of Craftsy, so she told me about Craftsy. So we have a whole ton of Craftsy classes, and I got an overlocker one and did I get the cover stitch one? No, I didn't. Did I get the cover stitch one? I can't remember. I think I might have. But yeah, I took Craftsy classes, and that for me was a really good way of learning. So it's whatever works for you. You kind of like, after a while, you identify your best learning method. Some people prefer blog posts, written posts. Some people prefer videos. So yeah. Alison says, although I did textiles sewing at school, we didn't really learn anything about sewing. It was very lucky as my dad's cousin's wife was a seamstress and I did learn a lot from her. That's nice. Gig Racer says, on a different note, just figured out why the underwear was so loose. I cut the low rise waistband rather than the high waistband. Still adjusted for the pattern for a smaller waist though. Awesome. Not awesome that you got it wrong, but awesome that you've worked it out. Sal says that was fair of them. A pattern like that was fair on them. A pattern like that of negative comments over a long time speaks volumes about who they are as a person. Oh, yeah. Yeah. And again, I don't think the person was meaning to be mean. I think it was just tone, as I mentioned very many times, tone is really difficult to get across written. So I appreciate that the people that do take the time to write constructive comments, and so many of you are so good at it. Because I mean, like I'm saying, I'm not trying to say that I'm perfect. I'm not trying to say that anybody shouldn't be criticizing me for things that I am getting wrong, or things that you would do differently and things like that. But there is a way of doing it that is constructive, and there's a way of doing it that's just negative. And that's why I looked back on this person's comments, because I had this feeling from that particular one where they also told me that, like, I only ever make the same thing. They're getting bored that I make the same thing over and over and over again. It's like, yeah, I've identified my style. I like fit and flare. I want to wear it with a cropped cardigan and a belt. So this probably isn't the channel for you if you want to see somebody experiment with lots of different shapes and styles and things, because that's just never going to happen. Like, you know, every now and again, outside of my comfort zone, 8167, I'm looking at you. Oh, I've cut that out as well. But yeah, I just, yeah, if there's something in your life that is making you feel negative, then I don't see the point in allowing it to continue in your life. You don't need that kind of, like, there's a joke, isn't it? You cut that person out. You don't need that kind of negativity in your life. Like, yeah. Alison says, sewing the old-fashioned way in those days wasn't as there wasn't knit fabrics as there are now. I so miss sewing with my auntie, eating chocolates and drinking coffee. Oh. Carmen says, I'm a new machine shopper at Walmart. Their heavy-duty Singer is $260, and I'm having a 1960s Montgomery Ward machine cleaned, etc., till I can save up. People taking loans for machines, taking up loans for machines, I'm told. Oh, wow, yeah. I mean, this is the thing. It's got to be a budget that you stick to, that you're comfortable with, for you to start sewing. But it is an expensive hobby to pick up and try right from the get-go, because you do need a machine. I mean, you can sew, like, by hand if you want to, but I would probably never have done another project if I had to do the first one by hand. So yeah, you can always go to a class, but again, there's an expense in that. Paula says, I started sewing class for a skirt, and when we got to do 2 darts, I immediately thought of you. Oh. Do you sew off of the point and tie your darts in knot? Gig Racer says, may even retrieve the pants from the naughty corner and just take in the waist. Won't be pretty, but will be functional, and it's bamboo jersey, so not scrapping it. And it will tell you whether that the changes that you've made are going to work for the next one. So yeah, I think that's a good idea if you can be bothered. And they might need to sit in the naughty corner for as long as you need them to sit in the naughty corner. Nimue says, if somebody is only ever speaking up to voice negativity, you have every right to not want to hear from them anymore. They chose their actions and words. They aren't immune to the consequences. Yep, agreed. And that goes for everybody. I mean, me as well. Like, some people I might really annoy with my waffling and all that kind of stuff, and that's totally fine. I am not going to be for everybody. Dita Von Teese said it. You could be the ripest, juiciest peach in the world, but not everybody's going to like peaches. It's totally fine. If I annoy you, don't watch. And you don't need to tell me that I annoy you and that you're flouncing. I don't need to know that. It's not an airport. I don't need to hear about your departure. But yeah, I do get a few of those as well. It always makes me giggle. Yeah. Debbie says, I find the sizing information in Fibre Moon magazine is superb, but I don't like all their styles. I wish I could have Vogue styles with Fibre Moon information next year. Next year. Touch wood. Touch wood. Next year. Linda says, that's strange that someone commented on you giving your measurements. Over half the sewing bloggers I watch say their measurements on every video or have them listed below. It's helpful. That's what I think. I think it was the fact that I used to have a small waist and I was talking about that, which I am doing now. So, I mean, I still do have a small waist in comparison, you know, to the rest of me. I always have. That's just my frame. Evie says to Nimue, that's so true. There's a great way to put it. Not immune to the consequences. Yeah, exactly. Joanna says you can buy their replays. Yes, the By Hand London Fit webinars. There you go. Yeah. And By Hand London are the people that taught me to sew this time around. The first thing that I made was By Hand London an address in a, where's my phone? Oh, I plugged it in. Oh no, it's behind you. You're hiding my phone. So the very first thing that I made this time round was the By Hand London an address, and that is probably 8 years ago now. So that's 2016, no, 2014. No, 2013. see if I can find a picture of it. Just lots of, I also got Chiana at the same time. Here we go, yeah. Okay, so this is the progression. This is what I started with. Pattern, lining, fabric, and the By Hand London tutorial on how to do a full bust adjustment, and the results of the full bust adjustment, and the finished dress, which I absolutely hated the skirt on. So I bought more fabric and took the skirt off and made a circle skirt, and was much happier with that. It is very short. I wore that also. I also added in a waistband because I hadn't added enough length. So there's a waistband in there. I wore this for my driving test and I passed. It's my 4-leaf clover lucky dress. Do I have a photo? And then I just didn't stop. So I refashioned a jumpsuit that I'd made into that, because the jumpsuit was a backless halter neck, wide-legged monstrosity, and I just used the wrong fabric for it. And I didn't stop there. So that was that. Those photos were, let's see, 3rd of November 2013. That's when I properly started learning to sew again. So that's 9 years ago. Wow. Well, just over eight years ago. Yeah. So, and By Hand London are the people that taught me all about that. And then there was, I don't know where I learned about French seams from, or bias binding, but it's probably same sort of area. That was the first indie pattern that I bought, was that one. I'm just looking at my pattern stash now, being like, that escalated quickly. So yeah, their method worked really well for me, and their patterns work really well for me. I know they don't work really well for everybody, but they do for me. Natalie says to Carmen, I literally have a jar that I throw my coins into to save up for a new machine. Oh yeah, you know those Voss water bottles? If you put £2 coins in them, it's 400 quid when it's full. Because I did that one summer when I was working in the casino, because I would constantly have change. I don't know why I constantly had change, but I constantly had change. So I was putting £2 coins in it, and they just fit through the top. Maybe it was pound coins, actually. I think it was pound coins, yeah. So because the £2 coins wouldn't fit through the thing. So the Voss water bottle, £400 if it's full. Anessa says, as a beginner on a tight budget in Canada, patterns and fabric are hard, but thanks to YouTube, I fitted a blouse after 4 tries. That's awesome. Like, you know, I got really lucky with the By Hand London Anna dress, that I did the full bust adjustment, and I made a muslin and it fit. And, you know, like, there is a video on my channel, like my UFOs and early projects, and some of those are awful. So, you know, you can go back and see some of my really early stuff that before even then, like 2 years previous to that. Let's see. Sophia says, I bought some viscose jersey that had a border print on both ends. I'm totally unstuck on what dress I could make with it. Do you have any suggestions? I love your style. Border print, viscose jersey is quite lightweight, so you could probably get away with gathering it into a bodice. So I would cut it as a rectangular skirt, and then I would also cut the sleeves so that the bottom of the sleeve ended up with a border on it as well, and then use the middle part for the bodice. And maybe, I mean, you want something that you maybe put cotton jersey in under the bodice so that it doesn't stretch too much, because the skirt would end up being quite heavy if you use a lot of it. You could also use the border print down the side of a dress. I want to do that as well. Anyone else got any recommendations? Stitchmaker Studio says, good afternoon, Shan. Anthea here. I would agree about Craftsy. I got back into sewing after 20 years away by taking a Craftsy class on altering patterns for plus size fitting. Best thing I ever did. Yeah, my Susie Farah classes, I've watched them through many times. I have actually gone through, taken my measurements and drafted the pattern. I just never got around to cutting out the moulage. And I would like to do that. So yeah, I love Craftsy. It has morphed and changed a lot since I started using it. When I started using it, the Craftsy classes were individually priced, and Mum and I would always go nuts when they had a sale. but now it's like a membership one and things like that. So I haven't used it for a while, so I don't know the user experience of it recently. We're talking, well, 8 years ago when I first started using it. So it was a very different experience then. Kathy says, good morning, Sean and Peeps from Chile, Pennsylvania. Good morning. Anthea, I'm so behind with the chat. Sorry, I'm talking too much. That's the problem, isn't it? Anthea says, best of all, the classes inspired me to go to college and do an HND in theatre costume, which was a brilliant experience. Oh, it's so cool. Debbie says, for learning, I find your sew alongs great for changing patterns to how best to suit you. I also recommend Terry Fox for finding your style, making couture looks accessible and pattern hacking. Awesome. Thank you for that recommendation, Debbie. Jinapin says, I have been listening while cutting out 2 dresses. I keep putting off the style art patterns I have due to minimal instructions and measurements, but they have some lovely patterns. Yeah, I've been threatening to make the Ziggy jacket for years now. 4 of you have bought me that pattern, which was amazing of you. I've given one to my sister-in-law, I've given one to a friend, and I have also kept one for myself, and I am going to give one as a giveaway when I do a giveaway next. We're at 24,000 peeps as well. It's gone mad over the last couple of months. Welcome to all the new peeps. But yeah, I am very intimidated by them, so I need to give them a try. But I think once you've got a certain level of sewing knowledge behind you, then it will make sense. We shall see. We shall see. Jane says, love having a positive and encouraging sewing community, has had no sewing mates. Finished Bertha cardigan, pleased with it. I mainly sew from Burda magazine, adore their patterns. See, I find them intimidating, so I need to man up wet pants and give those a try. Alison says to Carmen, think twice before you invest in the Singer heavy duty machine. I would instead get a good secondhand Benina or Pfaff. I always recommend, if it's a possibility, to go to your sewing dealership and try out a few of the machines within your budget and see what the dealer recommends as well, because they're going to be the ones that you're dealing with for maintenance and servicing as well. I haven't tried a Singer heavy duty. I haven't tried a Pfaff, and I have only ever used the higher end of Benina models, so I can't comment on what the entry-level models are like. Nimue says to Carmen, if you like an opinion or your shopping decision, I have the heavy duty 5511 and love it. It's simple but very solid, which is exactly what I was looking for. See, this is everyone's experience is very different, and everyone is looking for different things from their machines. Carmen says, I hope you never stop waffling. It's one of my favourite things. I love my Sunday coffee and waffle time. This all sprang out of like lockdown, didn't it? The Hangouts being this kind of like long and involved, and I'm so glad that it did, because I love spending time with you guys as well. It really, really does make my day. Rachel Lynn says, I just finished the Burda style teaching class. I learned a lot. Need to turn the projects in today, but I finished it. Yay. Awesome. Gig Racer says, I honestly don't understand why people feel the need to comment negatively if they don't like something. Just click off the video and move on with your life. There's plenty of other creators out there. Exactly. I mean, life's way too short to make yourself angry watching somebody that annoys you. There's a couple of fashion bloggers that I have stopped following because I just got to the point where some of the comments that they were making were so atrocious to me that I was just like, I can't watch this anymore. I really enjoy their style, and if they do a purely fashion related video, I will put it on and speak through and look at the things that they've bought, but I can't listen to them anymore. I've unfollowed and unsubscribed, and I don't watch anything but just the fashion, because exactly, nobody's holding a gun to your head. Nikki says, it's not an airport. I don't need to know your departure. Love it. Oh, I wish that was my original one, but it's not. But yes, that's quite a lot of people have said that about, I saw that somewhere online, and it made me giggle as well. It's just like, it's brilliant. I mean, it's totally true, isn't it, as well? Evie says, you have a lovely tiny waist that I'm very jealous of. I mean, that's the other thing. Is like, that is one of my favorite features about my body. I absolutely hate my legs. I hate my legs so much. They are chunky. They don't fit into my boots anymore. One of the things about shoes is that shoes are never meant to get too big or too small for you, and they're meant to always fit. Well, I suppose boots are a bit different because they go up a part of your anatomy, but yeah, I hate my legs. I absolutely hate my legs. That's another thing that Dita Von Teese says, actually. She's like, I do have parts of my body that I don't like, but I'm not going to tell you what they are because that will be what you focus on. But yeah, I don't like my legs. I do love my upper torso, and yeah, now that I put a little bit of weight on my arms, I need to do some actual exercise. But yeah, I like my waist. It's my favorite part of my body. So Caroline says, you know the size I am, but used to have a 21-inch waist, and there are pictures to prove it. Exactly. It's just a fact. It's just a fact. It's not like, it's not a boast or a brag it's just, this is what I used to be, and this is why I talk about this. Paula says, I do now, even though that info wasn't given. Oh, because I'm so behind, I'm not sure what you're talking about. Gay says, you don't need a fancy machine. A fairly basic machine will work perfectly well. Most fancy machines don't get used fully, just like washing machines who uses all the settings. Exactly. I mean, there are bells and whistles on my machine that I don't use. I love it though, and I wouldn't have anything else. But nobody needs that. It's not an essential. It's a luxury. Totally. Absolutely. Karen says, good morning from Long Island, New York. My mother always used to say, if you can't say something nice, don't say anything at all. I've always tried to follow this philosophy. Oh, me too. Me too. Yes, there are many, many things out there that I'm just like, oh, what were you thinking? I'm allowed to think that, and I'm allowed to have that opinion. But the person that I'm thinking that about doesn't need to know that. They don't care. I mean, that'd just be mean of me to be like, this person has presented this thing that they've made or they've bought or they worked all this time on. And they're like, look what I've done. And it's like, oh, well, that's not for me. But that's the point. It's not for me. It's for them. And they're the ones that have made it and spent all the time. And if I turn around and was just like, oh, that's not for me, then that's not necessary. That's not, I'm entitled to their opinion. I'm allowed to think it, but I don't need to tell them. They don't need to know that. So yeah, totally. I just find it amusing and amazing that so many people are just like, I have my opinion and I must tell everybody about it. Okay, you do you. Perhaps think about it though. Gig Racer says to Anessa, keep an eye out in your community for thrifted sewing materials. Some places have entire fabric shops of donated fabric. Garage sales and estate sales are other places to try too. Another good one is thrift shops and old bedding. And you might not want to wear other people's old bedding because that does kind of make me go, ooh. But good muslin fodder, because you get a lot of fabric, a lot of fabric. Evie says to Gay, that's what my old teacher said. She got me a basic $80 machine and I've hardly learned to use most of the stitch types, but I really use it and it hasn't failed me yet. Exactly, you really don't need a fancy all bells and whistles. Jim Pin says, it's getting dark here in Newcastle, awaiting Storm Corrie, so making a run to the shop. It's been very informative and interesting hangout today. See you all next time, Susan. Thank you for joining us, Susan. Oh, keep getting too far ahead with the chat. I'm so behind. Moran says, I could sew by hand, but I'm not Bernadette Banner. Love her. Yeah, me too. There's another Birchwood historical. She only got into sewing really recently, actually, and she sewed everything that she does by hand. She just did the raspberry dress. And she dresses historically every day because she finds it comfortable and practical for her and her life, and she only sews by hand. And she's having a nightmare with her channel at the moment. It got AdSense got revoked for some reason or another. But you know, she's another one that just sews by hand and she enjoys it, but I do not. So yeah, again, there's so many approaches to sewing, and whatever works for you, you do you. Anessa says to Gig Racer, thank you. I do. Awesome. Linda says, I love the idea of adding a waistband if the thing you sew isn't long enough in the body. I wouldn't have thought of that. You should do a video on ways to save patterns that don't quite fit. Well, this was, again, like I said, that was my first attempt in 2013, and I was just like, it needs to be a bit longer because it needs to hit my waist, because all of my other clothes don't hit my waist and I don't want that, so shove a waistband on it. And then I made like 35 of them with waistbands on, and the new one that I have drafted, I have actually lengthened it enough so that I don't have to have a waistband on if I don't want to. Carmen says to Nimue, thank you for the suggestion. I definitely need a heavy duty for all the work jeans patching I do. Also aspiring to refashion some lighter leather jackets one day. Oh, nice. Rachel's here. Hello, finally made it. Just got home from work. Hope everyone was well. Very well, thank you, Rachel. I know I've said this before, but congratulations on 10K. Yay. Vanessa says, Sean, just take pieces. I just take pieces of fitting from everyone, but my most successful help has come from you in learning about finished measurements, so thank you. Oh, yay. See, I'm helpful. Natalie says, I sew by hand all the time. I learned how to hand sew from Bernadette in February 2020 because I needed to make masks for my family. Oh, that's so nice. Nicole says, it's true, all these hand-making hobbies are fairly expensive, knitting, sewing, at least in the US, or can be without vigilance. YouTube is a great resource to help keep the costs down a bit. Absolutely. There is so much free knowledge out there. I mean, that's another reason I started doing the things that I do on my channel, is because there was all this knowledge out there, but it was all over the place on blog posts and stuff. And it was just like, it would be really nice to have it in one place. So yeah, and whenever I've learned something from somebody, I always credit them and link back to the original place that I found the thing. Joanna says, Craftsy, find discount code for the first year and it's really cheap. Just keep in mind that the next year will be expensive and it's worth cancelling it. You can do it by sending them an email. Gig Racer says, I'm sold. I'll check out Craftsy and see what they have for overlocking courses. Thanks for the advice. That's, I mean, I found it really helpful for me. So yeah. As he says, I really like Jenny's from Cashmerette's classes for fitting plus sizes. I haven't made any Cashmerette patterns yet, and I really need to because they have some amazing ones. And I did use Jenny's full bust adjustment for the 6740 strappy polka dot sundress I made last year, and it was amazing. Kathleen says, I just joined the annual Craftsy membership. They had an unbelievable deal, $125 for the year. Just need to remember to cancel it when the year is up. Great access to all the classes. Susie Farah too. Nice. Asley says, I think it's on Skillshare. Oh, cool, for the Cashmerette classes for fitting plus sizes on Skillshare. Skillshare is another amazing resource. Alison says, silhouette patterns are excellent for fit and sewing. One of the ladies at the Sewing Guild introduced me to them. They're very well drafted and they don't charge much for postage. Nice. I think they've got a YouTube channel as well, haven't they? Have I got that right? I don't know. Tomcat Stitchery is starting the Ziggy Jacket Sew Along in 2 weeks. Oh, awesome. That's from Rachel Lynn. Very cool. There is a sew along, a written sew along, blog post sew along as well. But yeah, that's very cool. Gig Racer says to Joanna, thanks for the tips. And Joanna says to Asley, I need to check Skillshare then. Thanks for the hint. Yeah, I love Skillshare. Anthea says to Asley, yes, Jenny from Cashmerette has brilliant fitting advice for us plus-sized peeps. I just recently bought her book and it's got awesome instructions. Nice. Alison says silhouette patterns also have an excellent YouTube channel. It's the shame that the patterns aren't featured more on sewing blogs. I have to be honest, I don't really know their aesthetic, so I'm going to have a look once the stream's done. Kathleen says, I purchased the highest end of FAF in 1990. Yep, it was expensive, but it's still going strong. I have made hundreds of purses, dolls, dresses, and garments on this machine. I mean, I hate to think how many stitches my Benin has done. So many. And I use it for embroidery as well. Mom and Pop Quilt Show says, good morning from snowy Nova Scotia, East Coast, Canada. Good morning. Gig Racer says to Anthea, I agree. The instructions are so clear and the photos actually good at demonstrating fit issues before and after. Awesome. Yeah, I think that's the thing, isn't it? It's having an expert have you put on the thing and then they be able to tell by the drag lines that, well, actually, just because you have a drag line here, for example, it might mean you need to do something over here. And that's just that's not an actual factual thing. That's just me just trying to illustrate the point with what's available as me in the screen. But yeah, having somebody that is an expert at fitting actually look at you and say this, that, and the other is where this needs to change or this needs to change is really good. Carol says, I have the entry-level Benina. I'm very happy with it. Didn't need a fancy stitches or it to do buttonholes. I use a Singer button attachment to my featherweight for buttonholes. Nice. Nicola says, currently cutting boxes for my hubby from the jersey scraps you sent. Next knickers for myself. Oh, cool. Very cool. Asley says to Joanna, cheers. And Asley says to Anthea, gone too far again. Ooh, I need to check that. I love her patterns too. Sal says, I had to get a pair of knee-length boots for my Dracula cosplay, and finding a pair for a man took months to find. Yeah, you'd have to go for like riding boots or something, wouldn't you? And they're really expensive. If it's only for a cosplay, that could be prohibitive. I'm glad you found some. Liz says you have beautiful legs. Oh, thank you. Thank you. I really don't like them. Oscar says, one thing I always tell my children, as well as my students, is to have 3 filters before they speak. Is it true? Is it necessary? Is it kind? If it doesn't pass all 3 filters, just zip it. Yeah, I've said that before as well. I think that's very true. I did put a few people off from commenting when I said that, and it was a few people that I really appreciate the comments from. And I won't name names because I don't want to embarrass anyone, because I know they still watch. But English wasn't their first language, but they did constructive criticism really, really, really well, like really well. And but there are people who English is their first language, and the nuances that these other people managed to get across and the English as first language people didn't, is, yeah. So no, you're correct. Those 3 filters are, is it true? Is it necessary? Is it kind? Totally. And again, I'm not saying you're not allowed to think the thing. Like I say, I have very constructive, well, I have negative and sometimes constructive criticisms to make of other people, but is it necessary for me to tell those people that? No, it's not. I'm allowed to think it. Of course I am. I'm allowed to have that opinion. Of course I am. But they don't need to know. I have brought down another pint of water. I've just left it over there. I'll go and get that in a second. Sandra says, hello, Sean and Peeps from France. Bonjour. Oscar says, my son is using my account more than me, so that's why I'm called Oscar's Gaming. My name is Anna and I'm in Sweden. Hi, Anna. Welcome. Carmen says, sheets at the store. I just found the most amazing kids' sheets with boats and octopuses. Whimsical, but will be on my spring project once I get the Montgomery Ward machine back. Nice. I like that. I like that a lot. Joanna says to Anthea, I love her new book too, starting to get better fitting garments at last. Awesome. Charlie says, just had a visit from my family. Haven't seen one sister since 2019, the other sister and my mum since 2020. I am so happy. That's amazing, Charlie. Awesome. Eliza says, don't forget to hit the thumbs up. Oh, wow. Yeah, there's 199 of us and 99 likes. Caroline says, I love hand sewing. When I revised for my A-levels, I made a skirt for interviews by hand. Nice. Very nice. See, I always worry that my hand sewing isn't going to be strong enough. And I know you can do like running back stitches or back stitches and things like that. I just worry it wouldn't be strong enough and that it would all fall apart. I'm sure it wouldn't if I did it right, but yeah. Rachel Lynn says, oh, did you all see that Frugalissima is doing the So Frugal challenge this year? You guys. My sewing challenges is working. Look, So Frugal, and it's Black History Month next month as well. So Black History Month pattern designers. Nitida is there's more than just Nitida doing it, but yes. I kind of cheated for January. I just put my Make 9 in there, but yeah. So I've got my sewing challenges. This is so good. I love this. This is really making me feel so much more organized this year, which sounds daft, writing things down on paper, but it really does. Sorry, my eyebrows are really itchy. Tattoos, and they're kind of coming off as well, so they're looking really patchy. Fun times. Anessa says, Sean, you are helpful, amazingly helpful. I appreciate you so much. I've made 26 things this year, and my mum was happy to tears about having stuff that fit. Awesome. Rachel said, thank you for the love on the 10K. I'm about to start the Roscoe by Cashmere on her website. If you put your measurements in, she tells you the exact size and what adjustments you need to make. That is awesome. That's very cool. Carolyn says, hello, sweet peeps. Hi, Carolyn. Lisa says, Sean, I can really see you in a cashmere rose clare dress. I think I need to have another look through her patterns as well, because I think there's a few of hers that I'm going to love. Laurel says, good morning, peeps. It's sunny 19 degrees Fahrenheit, minus 7 degrees centigrade in Chicago. Need tea and breakfast. Then I'll get onto the sleevel's to see if my modifications worked. I love that you're adopting sleevel's. I mean, I didn't make up sleevel's. I really didn't make up sleevel's, but yeah, I love sleevel's. I love the word sleevel's. I don't mind saying in sleeves, actually, but that's usually because mine have so much gathering in them that they're meant to be gathered at the top, not just smooth. Marie says, I'm starting the Vogue 9345 dress pattern now. Want to make a blouse out of this pattern as you did, Sean. Love the concept. Yeah, I need to add more spring to the bottom of my pattern pieces because it was just too tight. But it is, I love that pattern so much. Making it just as a skirt as well, awesome. I don't think I like the fabric I chose for it though, which is sad because it was such nice fabric. But I made a boo boo. I made a boo boo with that one. Carmen says, Karina from Lifting Pins and Needles did a dragline fitting series for tops and pants. It was very helpful to see how adjusting is done. Awesome. Karina has a lot of instructional videos on her channel for sure. Karen says, never heard of Skillshare. I will have to go check it out after your live. Nice. I actually have been sponsored by Skillshare once, and I used their class to learn calligraphy, and then I just didn't take advantage of my membership as much as I should have done because they have so many classes on there for so many different things. I'm definitely thinking about signing up again. Linda says, if you get triggered by someone or something, you need to look inward to see what's wrong with you, not the other person. This lady needs to do a bit of soul searching to see why she is so insecure. Yeah. I think most people who do write purposefully negative comments, it says much more about them than it says about the person who's receiving the comment. It's just when it's en masse, it can be very difficult to take. I actually had some comments from somebody that had been following me for years, and again, the few times that they were taking time to comment, it was just like, oh, that's the most hideous thing you've ever made, or something like that. And again, it was like one of those times where it's like, this may not be the best thing that I've ever made, but is it that language really necessary? So again, I'd blocked them, removed them from Facebook, and removed them from my Facebook friends list, personal one as well. And they've resurfaced recently with a new username because they had been blocked on the channel. So I think they've started a new YouTube channel, which you can do very easily, and commented again. And it was a very positive comment this time, so I've just left it. But it was kind of weird. So yeah. Nimue says, talking of challenges, ever thought about a Kittenish behaviour challenge? I have a hunch there would be some takers. Oh, I don't know. I think that's kind of what I do with the pattern swap. Like the very first pattern swap was actually between a group of sewing YouTubers, and we were all supposed to make the thing that got sent to us, and it was supposed to be just the one pattern, and you know, not something that somebody requested, something that the other person thought would suit you. Yeah, I mean, if I did one, it would be like, let's all sew Cobra Corsage this month. Rachel then says, I'm making the Style Sew Me Anitra jumpsuit from for Black History Month Pattern Designer Challenge. She's got some fun patterns. Ooh. Yeah, I don't know which one I'm going to do yet. I need to have a look at Natida's blog post about it, to have a look at the list of patterns, because I think I've got quite a lot of them, and I want to make sure that I'm picking the right one. Sal says, if you watch the show Alternate, I thought it was Altered Carbon, the word sleeve will take on a new meaning. The show is a human, the human body is called a sleeve. Yeah, your mind is downloaded into a crystal in the back of your head, and if your sleeve gets damaged, you can be downloaded into another sleeve. And the penal system is they take your body sleeve, and that's basically up for grabs for anyone that's coming out of a deep storage thing. So say you've done 10 years, you don't get put back into your own body, somebody else has that, you get put back into the first sleeve that's available. Rich people have clones of themselves and things like that. It's supposed to prevent like body death and things like that. It's one that Peter of Hamilton uses quite a lot as well in his space operas. But yeah, and you made me think of that now. I actually haven't watched the second season yet. I wanted to rewatch the first season to remind myself what was going on, and I got halfway through that, and then something else came out, so I need to rewatch that because I loved Altered Carbon. I thought it was good, but it's incredibly graphic, full frontal male nudity, and many people getting brutally killed. So you do have to be in the right frame of mind for it. It's not a light and fluffy show for sure. But yeah, Altered Carbon is awesome. The creative Mrs. K says, I would totally do a KB sewing challenge. Oh, you guys are making me think I need to think of something to do now. Does anyone have any ideas? I mean, it wouldn't then be me coming up with the idea, would it? What sort of challenge would you like? Yeah, interested. Oh gosh, lots of you. Creative Liz says, date to Linda, there's nothing wrong with Shan, and she just chooses what she wants in her circle. After all, it's her channel. I think Linda was meaning that the other lady, yeah, Liz Linda was addressing the other post to the other lady. Liz, is English your first language, or is Japanese your first language? Because your English is pretty damn good. Not saying that it was a language problem, it was the understanding by that. But yeah, Linda, daydream believer, meant that the other person had the issue, not me. Gig Racer said, I'd be interested in the KB challenge. Carmen says, to Sal, truth. Anessa says, KB sewing challenge for the win. Oh my God. Gig Racer says, does anyone know of some good scrub hat patterns for people with long hair? I'm sick of my hair snapping off because the N95 elastics. Ooh, I don't. But yeah, let us know. Dilek says, KB sewing challenge sounds great. Linda says to Liz, please read my post again. It wasn't about Shan. Liz says to Linda, my apologies, caught up. Awesome. Yeah. Again, see, this is the thing. This is exactly what I mean. The written word, if you're reading things quickly with chat flashing by, if you're reading things quickly, like tone can be really difficult to get across. And not that Linda got it across badly, but it's just one of those things that, you know, like it's the written word is very difficult to get tone across in. Rachel says, I think people need to realise that what we sew is to please us, not for the gratification and approval of others. So that's their opinion isn't really necessary. Yeah. I sent Rachel screenshots of the condescending comment I got last night. I sent them to Jojo and Erica as well. Just so funny. Ashley says, there was a fitting book you bought recently. I think everyone was recommending. Do you remember what the name was? Yes, I do. I have it right here. It was the Nancy Zeman Pattern Fitting with Confidence. This one. And I really like it. I really like it. The it's not too densely worded. The illustrations are good. The instructions are good. Yeah, I do like it. Nearly knocked my pattern roll over. Marjorie says to Nimble May, maybe a challenge using Cobra Corsage. Oh my gosh, Sean, you just said it as I was typing. Great minds. Rachel says, a bugs challenge. You have to make something in a fabric that showcases snakes and bugs, etc. Yeah. Rachel Lynn says, nah, your challenge would be pirate themed. Oh yeah, Nimways put one down the bottom that I've just seen. Statement sleeve challenge. I'm liking it. Gail says, good morning from Toronto, Ontario, Canada. I just discovered you and I'm so excited. You're simply gorgeous and so informative. Do you have a sewing room tour? I have 3 sewing room tours, but not one for this one yet. I am waiting to get the cutting table completely finished. We have the lino for the top. We just need to put it on and we need to level out the top because the MDF boards that we used were left on a pallet for too long and they've gone a little bit wavy. So yeah, we're going to, once that's done, then I'm doing a sewing room tour. So yeah, and it's going to, like, my other ones are some of my most popular videos, so I cannot wait to show you guys properly around how, and it'll be nice that it'll be probably just under 10 months since I actually started using it, because there's a few things that I've changed, like the positions of and stuff, because they work better where they are now. So it'll be nice to show you a kind of like lived in, this is what works for me kind of thing. Anessa says, aren't you sewing shirts? You could do a sew a shirt. I could sew a pirate shirt, couldn't it? Sew a shirt with statement sleeves. Now we need to think up a hashtag. See, this is the thing. This is not my idea. This is your idea. You guys have the great ideas. Lottie says, I would be happy for a Cobra Corsage challenge once I got through my dental work and actually bought it. Yeah. I'll have to have a word with Lady McElroy and see if they'll maybe give us a discount on Cobra Corsage or something. It doesn't hurt to ask, does it? Nimue says statement sleeve challenge. Rachel then says, ooh, how about a dragon challenge? We are going to have an afternoon of sewing the shoulder dragons together, we are going to do a hangout where we sew the shoulder dragons together. And it's not going to be next week because I have other things to do. But how about we say the 6th of March is going to be Shoulder Dragon weekend, and we will be prepared. I'll announce it properly, but we'll be prepared. And in an afternoon, we shall sew some shoulder dragons together. Anessa says to Nimaway, it's a good one. Yeah, the sleeves is a good idea. Carmen says, pick a basic pattern and see how creative people can get with it. Fabric added, doodads, ruffles, sleeves, alterations. Would be interesting to see what creative minds can come up with. I do like that, but I would like it to be one that, I mean, I suppose that could be good for beginners, couldn't it? Oh, we could do one of the patterns, the hacking patterns. Yeah, because there are patterns that they release now with lots of different options that you can put together. I'm like, you guys. Creative Mrs. K says, I love the statement sleeve challenge. Carolyn says, batch sewing challenge. Carolyn, you're mean. Asley says, thanks for the book name. You're welcome. Lottie says, love the idea of dragons or statement sleeves. I'm still making the pleated and gathered skirts and NCWs. But your pleated and gathered skirts are things of beauty. And if we did the dragon one, I wonder, oh, I've got some silk here as well. I wonder how much of this I've got. Hang on. How much of this do I have? Have I got a little label on it? Have I got enough of this to make a statement sleeve blouse? It's my Dolce & Gabbana dragon fabric. I don't think I bought very much of it though. I don't think there's enough for statement sleeves. Oh, hang on. I'm going to have to have a look on the table and see how much. I think I have 1.5 meters. I'm not sure I get statement sleeves out of 1.5 meters. Yeah, got 1.5 meters. It's directional as well. Aren't they lovely? Dragons. It's white though, isn't it? I might get statement sleeves out of that. Wonder if that could be the challenge. You have 1.5 meters of 150 wide fabric, and you have to make a top with statement sleeves. Go. Dragons. It's a good job that, like, oh God, can you imagine if Lady McElroy did something like this where it said dragons instead of snakes? I would have every single colourway ever. Much like Cobra Corsage. I mean, to be fair, if Lady McElroy release any of their statement prints, and I'm like, okay, yes, please, I shall have all of it. Nicholas says, yes, bugs challenge. I have your Cobra Corsage scraps. I make, I can make boxes for hubby and matching pants for me for the challenge. Awesome. You realise that you will have to display your wares afterwards, maybe not worn. Linda says you could get us to do something we haven't done before. The statement sleeves, yes. Carmen says, I watch Nancy Zeman on PBS often. Definitely interesting and helpful. Cool. Sandra says to Asley, I believe it was the book from Nancy Zeman. Yep. Debbie says, my next garment making book will be on making leather armor. Once a geek, always a geek. Very cool. Have you watched Nerdforge? She made some armor. Oh my God, that stuff's amazing. Kathleen says, I would be up for a pirate challenge. I'm not so much into bugs and snakes. Carolyn says, statement sleeves. Sandra says, making an Eve dress. I like that. I do like that. The only trouble with that one is Sew Over It don't want sew-alongs done from their patterns. And I'd like to do some kind of supporting video to go with it. So maybe. Linda says, oh, or making underwear. Yeah. Rachel says, talking of statement sleeves, I'm about to hack the Jenna dress to include them and the tiered and gathered skirt. Know anyone who has a tutorial for that? No, don't know anyone. You're going to use the 7537 sleeves. I smoosh those under everything. Although, actually, like, if you want a button-up cuff, these ones are pretty awesome. This is the 9328. You do have to add a continuous lap in there, though. But there happens to be a tutorial for that as well. But Yeah, these ones are nice. Debbie says, facial fear challenge. When you take on a garment you've